Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're breaking down exactly how automated risk-based compliance is totally transforming network security. It's kind of crazy, but the vast majority of catastrophic data breaches, they aren't caused by sophisticated Hollywood-style hackers. Nope, they're usually just simple, overlooked network misconfigurations. If your team is still relying on traditional manual security audits, you already know the pain. Endless spreadsheets and late nights trying to validate thousands of lines of code. Well, let's look at the mechanics of how modern organizations are finally leaving that dangerous vulnerability in the dust.
So let's kick things off with a pretty critical question. Are manual security audits actively draining your cybersecurity ROI? Think about the irony here for a second. You hire these brilliant, highly specialized security architects, paying them top dollar, and then you trap them in command line interfaces. Basically, you force them to act as data entry clerks, manually collecting device configs and updating massive spreadsheets cell by agonizing cell. It's soul-crushing administrative work, and honestly, it's a massive misuse of their actual talent.
To get out of this mess, we're going to follow a quick roadmap. First, we'll look at the manual audit trap. Then, the danger of configuration drift. After that, automating network security audits, followed by risk-based vulnerability management. And we'll wrap up with strategic continuous compliance. Section 1. The manual audit trap, the status quo. Let's look at the unsustainable reality facing IT teams today.
It really is a night and day difference when you compare being stuck in a command line interface versus operating with strategic automation. On the manual side, you've got the old way of doing things, logging into routers one by one, battling extreme screen fatigue, and making inevitable human errors. Because, let's be real, nobody can perfectly review 10,000 lines of firewall rules by hand. It's entirely reactive. You usually only find out you are vulnerable after a breach happens. But flick over to the automated side, and you've got strategic, real-time, continuous monitoring. It enforces your security policies 24/7 without ever getting tired, proactively spotting risks way before they become a disaster.
And here is the real game changer. Automation reduces audit prep time by up to a massive 80%. Put that into perspective for a second. That's essentially getting 4 days out of a 5-day work week handed right back to your team. Tasks that used to take weeks of grinding, tedious labor can literally be knocked out in a few hours. This isn't just about making people's lives a bit easier, it's about fundamentally rescuing your security budget and reclaiming thousands of lost hours. Just think about what happens when you get all that time back. Instead of mindlessly copying and pasting data, your engineers are back doing what they do best, hunting actual threats. They can finally focus on strategic cybersecurity planning, designing highly resilient infrastructure architectures, and genuinely reducing business risk. You're letting your security talent actually be security talent, not compliance administrators. That's the exact ROI you expected when you hired them, right?
Moving on to Section 2. Danger of configuration drift, the catalyst. Let's talk about the silent villain created by rapid IT changes. Here's a terrifying thought. Your network might be absolutely flawless on audit day, but almost immediately fall out of compliance. We call this configuration drift, and it's completely silent. It's just the slow, steady pile-up of tiny changes. A patched server here, a tweaked cloud security group there, an updated routing table over there. Eventually, your pristine security baseline is totally compromised. In just a 6-month gap between manual audits, your network configuration can mutate into something virtually unrecognizable and highly vulnerable.
Picture this. I'm sure we've all been there or know someone who has. It's 2 a.m. An engineer is desperately trying to fix a failing service, and they temporarily open a port just to troubleshoot. The service comes back online, everyone breathes a huge sigh of relief, but in their pure exhaustion, they forget to close that port. Boom! That single temporary rule just exposed your highly sensitive database to the entire internet. Without automation, that port might just sit there, wide open, silently waiting for an attacker until your next manual audit rolls around half a year from now. No thank you.
Section 3. Automating network security audits, the new normal. To beat configuration drift, we have to pivot to agentless automation.
So what does an agentless workflow actually look like? Basically, the tools remotely take a snapshot of your configurations without forcing you to install software on every single multi-vendor router or switch you own. Because let's face it, installing and maintaining software agents on hundreds of legacy firewalls is an administrative nightmare. It causes downtime, versioning headaches, the whole shebang. Instead, an agentless system securely connects using standard protocols like SSH or HTTPS. It pulls the config, compares it against your exact security baseline, and instantly generates a clear list of what needs fixing. It's incredibly fast, clean, and easily scales across thousands of devices.
Section 4. Risk-based vulnerability management, prioritizing threats. Because once you automate all that data collection, you've got to know exactly what to fix first.
Look, if a tool just spits out a massive PDF with 10,000 minor misconfigurations, your team is going to drown in alert fatigue on day one. We have to be ruthless about prioritizing. It's not enough to just ask, does a vulnerability exist? We need to ask 3 things. 1, is the device internet-facing? 2, how easy is it for an attacker to actually exploit? And 3, what's the true business impact? I mean, there's a world of difference between a flaw sitting on a core banking system versus that exact same flaw on an isolated internal dev server.
This is where tools like Titania Nipper shine. They stop treating every single vulnerability as a 5-alarm fire and prioritize what actually hurts the business. There's an obvious difference between a critical risk, like a firewall allowing unrestricted external access, and a low risk, like a minor best practice gap. But here's the really sneaky danger. A medium risk, like an unused open port, combined with a low risk somewhere else, can easily chain together to create a critical exploit path for a hacker. By ranking these dynamically, your team knows exactly what needs to be tackled first thing Monday morning.
Which brings us to Section 5, Strategic Continuous Compliance, the strategic future. Let's tie all this technical execution into the high-level governance that modern enterprises absolutely need.
The best way to understand this transformation is the snapshot versus the movie analogy. Traditional manual audits, they're just a snapshot, a photograph. They only tell you exactly what your security looked like frozen in time on one random Tuesday last October. But continuous configuration assurance? That's a real-time continuous movie of your security posture. You aren't just reacting to an outdated picture anymore. You're actively maintaining compliance every single second, catching threats the literal moment they pop up on the screen.
And when you unify all these overlapping security controls into one automated model, the time savings are just off the charts. Whether you're dealing with federal frameworks like NIST, strict payment card rules under PCI DSS, or military-grade STIG standards, they really all share common ground. They all demand strict access management, solid logging, and robust network segmentation. With strategic continuous compliance, you don't have to run 3 separate, exhausting audits. You just configure your baseline to map to all 3 at once. You test once, and you automatically comply with many. It is a huge win.
Bringing it all together, this strategy creates a rock-solid enterprise solution. By pairing advanced automation tools like Nipper, which handles all the heavy lifting of continuous auditing and complex framework mapping, with the strategic integration expertise of a partner like ESPIN, organizations can achieve unshakable automated resilience. It's the perfect marriage of powerful agentless tech and expert consulting, making absolutely sure these systems are integrated flawlessly into your specific environment for the long haul.
So, I want to leave you with one final provocative question about your own network. Really think about it. Is your network actually secure and compliant right now, at this very second? Or is it just perfectly compliant on audit day, 6 months ago, and you're just kind of hoping that silent configuration drift hasn't ruined your defenses since then? Automation and risk-based vulnerability management give you the power to know for sure. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. It's time to start demanding continuous visibility and stop letting manual audits drain your team's potential.